crystalline eyes as brilliant and fierce as Dante fire diamonds. Ice versus fire. An intriguing combination. "Why don't we start at the beginning?" he suggested. It impressed the hell out of him that he could speak so calmly while desire fomented within, splashing through him in hot, messy waves. Such as, "Who are you?" "Don't you recognize me? You should." Amusement filtered through the statement. "I'm Kat Malloy." The simple statement impacted like a punch to the gut. So much for some fool intuitive voice. Not only was this woman not the one, she could never be the one. No matter how badly he wanted her on a physical level, she was the last woman in existence he would take to his bed or ever want in his bed. He'd seen her only once before in his entire life. Even then, he'd felt a similar reaction, though nowhere near this strong. Perhaps his earlier reaction had been mitigated by the fact that she'd been in another man's bed, her cousin's fiancé's, no less. Gabe glanced at his assistant and gave a subtle jerk of his head. The instant he and Kat were alone, he approached and delivered the first salvo. "Maybe if you weren't wearing clothes, I'd have an easier time remembering you." Irritation flashed through her gaze like emerald lightning. "How kind of you to bring that up. Ever the gentleman." "I wouldn't advise going down that road," he said very, very gently. "Otherwise, I'll be forced to discuss how well you fit the definition of a lady." She dismissed his warning with a casual shrug, though based on the sweep of color darkening her cheekbones, his comment hit home. Good. So long as he kept their relationship adversarial, it wouldn't allow for any other emotions to creep in, like lust, or passion, or the need to rip her clothes off and imprint himself on her body and soul. "You've refused every attempt to make an appointment," she said. "The very least you could do is have the courtesy to hear my proposition before throwing me out." He simply stared at her. Something in his demeanor must have penetrated her annoyance, and she stilled, eyeing him warily. A succulent doe scenting a hungry predator. About damn time. He maintained his silence, allowing it to grow until cold, raw bitterness settled between them. And all the while that hideous voice hammered at him, making demands about Kat Malloy he had zero intention of listening to, let alone following. "I owe you nothing. Maybe my late wife did. After all, you were Jessa's cousin," he said at last. He paused a beat, before adding in a conversational tone, "Did you know she loved you like a sister? Even after what you did? Even after your little fling with Benson Winters, she still spent the last 2 years of her life grieving over her lost relationship with you?" "Did she?" Kat raised a sleek eyebrow. She certainly had a peculiar way of showing it, especially considering she turned our grandmother against me and vilified me in the press. For some reason, that just doesn't strike me as very sisterly. He saw red. Maybe because you slept with her fiancé. And though I ultimately benefited since she turned to me for consolation, it was a despicable thing to do. The Malloy woman rallied with impressive speed. "So everyone keeps telling me. For some strange reason, I have a slightly different take on what happened that night." She gave his office a cursory glance, noting the generous sitting area where he often entertained clients. Ignoring the chairs, she chose the couch. She shrugged off her coat, tossed it over one of the arms, and made herself at home, crossing her legs. Gorgeous, shapely legs, he couldn't help but notice. Legs he would give almost anything to have wrapped around him. Of course, even a viper had a sinuous shape. That didn't mean he'd get close enough to feel the sting of her fangs or be infected by her poison. Not that his inner voice gave him any peace on that front. Apparently, it didn't care about fangs or poison, only about those legs and how tight they could hold him. Regarding him with remarkable self-possession, she